Hi there, my friend. My name is Stephen Hewer, and today I wanted to share with you on the topic of the adrenal glands and how I have had to pay attention to this personally for many years. I've done several of these saliva hormone panels that measure the steroid hormones over the years. I did one more recently because I wanted to try to figure out how to improve my energy during the day and also to be more consistent with achieving sleep at night. And so I did a saliva hormone test. And this is a saliva hormone test that I do offer on my site. It's by Mosaic Labs. You collect your saliva for 4 times throughout the day and the night. And it'll measure your cortisol levels as well as your DHEA levels, your testosterone, your progesterone, and your estrogen hormone levels. So when I did mine, it showed that I had low cortisol in the morning, which is, typical. I don't feel energized in the morning unless, of course, I slept that night really well, which is hit or miss. Then at noon, I do feel good at noon, and that's the time that I have what's called within range normal cortisol levels. And then in the evening, that's 4 p.m. about typically. I get tired and I want to lay down. That's a consistent pattern. And then at night, it says it's 5.7 and the optimal range is 1 to 4. And at night, of course, is when I feel wide awake, like I can't sleep even though I should be. My body should be on a rhythm where it wants to sleep and go to bed and go to sleep at 9 to 10. So what I'm going to share with you is what I've discovered to do to keep the energy during the day optimized. In other words, how to raise my, support my adrenals so they can produce the steroid hormones in whatever amounts they need to, so that I don't go into fatigue. So I do something first thing in the morning now. I do something in the afternoon. So I do it twice a day, and it basically brings my energy back up so that those low cortisol times, they're supposed to be higher to give me energy, they come up quickly. And I mean 15 to 20 minutes. So what I found is, and ultimately we want to rebuild the adrenal glands. So ultimately we want to rebuild the adrenals so that over 6 months, a year, and I think in my case I may need to go 2 or 3 years to rebuild them, that we don't become dependent upon sort of like symptomatic alleviation with nutrients that aren't causing negative side effects. But in this case, that's where nutrients come in, to alleviate symptoms. In this case, to alleviate symptoms, to support a weak system, but there's no toxic side effects. So the first product that I want you to know about is Glandicort, which is the Russian bioregulatory peptide. I've talked about this several times in videos, but if you're trying to rebuild your adrenal glands, this is something that's essential. And since so many people are suffering from varying degrees of adrenal fatigue has 4 stages: a first stage, second, third, and a fourth. And the third is where there's the most, wake-up call of symptomology. And but the fourth is the most difficult to deal with, and it's also called adrenal exhaustion or adrenal insufficiency. And I was diagnosed with adrenal insufficiency when I was 31. So I've been dealing with this for a long time. I'm 63 now. And I've never fully rebuilt them. I've taken things that give me some strength and energy for the day, or I take them for a while and they compensate, but rebuilding the glands so that they're fully optimized, they're youthful and really functioning well, is something that I apparently haven't done for long enough time with diet and supplements alone. So I'm re-embarking on doing that with Glandicort. Glandicort is a Russian-produced product. There's a company called Garmonia out of St. Petersburg, Russia, and they manufacture these peptides that were originally developed for their military, to help their military recover from high levels of stress. And so they have a variety of these peptides to rebuild different systems. And I can honestly say that using these products have saved my life, to rebuild my thyroid and correct the hyperthyroid condition, to rebuild my digestive tract and my heart so that they're working in a healthier manner. I used to have a heart with symptoms of congestive heart failure, and now it feels really strong again. And the adrenals seem to be the hardest to rebuild. But basically there's peptides for rebuilding the kidneys and rebuilding this pancreas and rebuilding your GI tract and your liver, your thyroid, your brain and nervous system, your eyes and your vision, your joints and your cartilage and your discs. And if you want to explore those, you can see those right here at the Cavinson peptides. Just click on this link and it'll take you to all those peptides. But right now I'm showing you the Glandicort because this is the one that you would want to take, like I said, 6 months minimum. And if it's real severe, like in my case, and I'm kind of unique, and so that's why I've become a nutritionist, is because of the effects of the adrenal exhaustion that was caused from mercury poisoning, and how it's made it so I've had to pay attention to health and nutrition as a lifelong pursuit personally, which has then enabled me to be of service to people in this capacity. So Glandicort, 2 capsules in the morning is the way I would take it in the morning for myself and on an ongoing basis. And then to immediately lift my energy level in the morning so that I don't feel tired, I take something called core hormone support. So this is developed by Dr. Christopher Shade. It's a balanced blend of 25 milligrams of DHEA, pregnenolone, diindolylmethane, chrysin, and it's a little bit of a berry flavor. So the neat thing about this is it's liposomal, and that's very, very important because I've taken plenty of DHEA products before and I don't get this effect. So because it's liquid, it'll absorb quickly. So you don't need the way that dosage recommendations are is you take a teaspoon in the morning. What I find works best is that I take only drops, like a quarter of a teaspoon, and I use a dropper. I have a separate dropper that I screw on this bottle. But I only use like a dropper full, which is about 15, 20 drops twice a day. And that works way better than taking the full dosage in the morning, because it's like the times that my adrenals or that your adrenals may be going low is the time that you need to take the product, and not before and not after. And of course, because it's liposomal delivery, it gets into the cells much more effectively than traditional powdered DHEA and pregnenolone. So this is a combination formula, and the DHEA, of course, is a direct precursor to steroid hormones, and pregnenolone is the parent. It's the first step in creating all the adrenal hormones. So you're getting 2 of the most important precursors to all the adrenal hormones. So your body can take care of supplying whatever amount of cortisol, whatever amount of estrogen, whatever amount of testosterone. So if I just do, like I said, 20 drops of this with a capsule of pantothenic acid, and that's just vitamin B5. Vitamin B5 is responsible for making coenzyme A, and coenzyme A is responsible for making energy. And so this dramatically supports your adrenals and dramatically supports the creation of energy. So I take a capsule of pantothenic acid, I open it up because I want immediate results. I don't want it to be delayed by 20 minutes for the capsule to break down. And it lifts my energy, and I have energy from the morning until the evening. And then again, if I need to, which is right now I need to, pretty much twice a day, I'll do a second dosage. And then now I'm covering the symptoms of my low cortisol at those times of the day. So now I have more energy at the end of the day to go work, which in where I live and my nice property, I've got lots of weeds and things to plant that I want to plant. So I can always have something to do outside that'll make me sweat. If I'm out there for an hour digging weeds up or digging a hole for planting a fruit tree or whatever, it'll work up a sweat. And if I've done keeping my cortisol levels up at those times that it's low, then I'll have the energy at the end of the day to go out and do some exercise instead of wanting to lay down. So the next one is sleep time. So you don't want high cortisol to interfere with your sleep, and a lot of people have sleep issues related to high cortisol at night. So if you are what's called a night owl, then that's pretty consistent with a description of somebody that's having high cortisol at night, which means your adrenals are fatigued and they've gone into a state of dysregulation, a state of pathogenic regulation, where they're not putting out the amounts of cortisol that are needed for the times of the day, so that it's highest in the morning and declining all the way into the evening, so that it's lowest at night, so that your nervous system won't be interfered with falling asleep, so that you produce the melatonin, and the melatonin makes you sleep without the interference of high cortisol. So when you feel tired and wired, it's because you've got high cortisol and lots of melatonin or melatonin. So you're tired and wired. Melatonin is making you tired. Cortisol is making you feel energized. And that's something I've experienced for years. So if melatonin is going to induce sleep in your body, you have to lower your cortisol levels until you've rebuilt your adrenal glands so that they're not dysregulated and producing excess cortisol during the hours of sleep. You have to take something to lower cortisol. I've taken herbal products without much success. I've experimented with a few cortisol lowering products, combination herbal, vitamin, mineral, sometimes glandulars, and I've tried quite a few actually. So the one that's produced the most results for me is called Cortisol Stress Reset. This is a phenomenal product. So if you take one tablet of this, up to two, I take two, all these nutrients, SAMe, GABA, L-arginine, theanine, magnolia bark, phosphatidylserine, potassium gluconate, calcium glycerol phosphate, 5-HTP, all these nutrients lower cortisol. So then cortisol being lowered, you've set the stage for melatonin to work. But there's another step that I take because this has produced the best results. So in our bodies, we have receptor sites in our nervous system for cortisol and or for progesterone. And they compete for the same receptor site. So you can... So in this brief description about the relationship between cortisol and progesterone, it just says here, cortisol and progesterone are both steroid hormones derived from the same precursor, pregnenolone. This shared origin means that the production of one can impact the availability of resources for the production of the other. In times of stress, when cortisol production is high, the body may prioritize cortisol production over progesterone, potentially leading to lower progesterone levels. Moreover, cortisol and progesterone can compete for receptor sites in the body. Both hormones can bind to the same receptors, but cortisol often wins this competition, especially when its levels are elevated due to chronic stress. This can effectively block progesterone's actions even if progesterone levels are normal. So that's saying to you and to me that because of the high cortisol at night, even if I have normal progesterone, it doesn't matter. It's going to take precedence and it's going to bind to receptor sites and excite the nervous system and my muscles and basically command my body to feel energy at a time when it's supposed to be sleeping. So you have to lower cortisol so it's not competing with those receptor sites. And then you also have to raise the progesterone levels. Just like I said, this can effectively block progesterone's actions even if progesterone levels are normal. So even if you have normal progesterone levels, which I in the past have had, I've had to artificially raise them higher to make sure that the cortisol is not binding to the nervous system tissue or to my muscle tissue to give me energy. So I do cortisol stress reset. I take a dropper full of simply progesterone. This is the best form of progesterone that I've ever found. Thanks to Georgi Dinkoff and his interviews that he's done with Joseph Mercola and other folks. He's pointed out the value of progesterone, and so has Dr. Mercola. Dr. Mercola states that there's no downsides to taking progesterone, that it balances out the estrogen in women's bodies. A woman's gone through menopause or going through menopause and having hot flash symptoms, which is attributed to estrogen deficiency. He said that no, it's actually a progesterone deficiency, and that's the best thing to take to support the alleviation of any kind of menopause symptoms, hot flashes. And the best form, and also I learned from both Dr. Mercola and Dr. Georgi Dinkoff, is that when you apply a progesterone cream, there's an enzyme in our skin that breaks it down into something that's no longer progesterone. So you don't get the full effect when using a cream. But when you take it in a vitamin E oil, which is the way this product is, this is simply progesterone in a vitamin E oil, then the body, it's somewhat lipospheric, so it survives digestion really well and gets into the system really well and produces the effect really well. And so it supports that relaxation response that you're looking for at night to sleep. And so if I do a dropper full of this, So this should be taken, cortisol stress reset should be taken like an hour before bed. And at bed, you could take a dropper full or a dosage which works for you. You can experiment, start with just 7 drops, because 7 drops would be, there's 3 milligrams of progesterone per drop. So 7 drops would be 21 milligrams, and that's 20 milligrams is a standard dosage in the progesterone creams that you apply. It's a 20 milligram dosage they suggest you apply topically. You can start with 7 drops, see how that works for you. I find that a full dropper full gets the strong effect that I like. And then because I don't want to risk not sleeping, I do take melatonin. Some people have an aversion to melatonin, but it doesn't affect me negatively at all. And this particular brand that I've found over the years works really well. And the reason is because it's not an excessive amount, because melatonin in excess can make you feel groggy in the morning. Instead, it's the 3 milligram amount, which is standard amount that I've used many times, and this one works really good. And the reason it works really good is because it's both immediate release. 50% of the melatonin is immediate release to help induce sleep right away. And then 50% of the melatonin in the formula is extended release. So that's why they say IR, immediate release, and XR, extended release. So you get 7 hours. 1.5 milligrams is immediate release. The other 1.5 milligrams is extended release. For 7 hours, it's supposed to be available in your blood to help you achieve at least 7 hours of sleep. And because my nervous system and body are wired, like I've done a recent neurotransmitter level test showing the neurotransmitter levels you void in your urine. And that showed that I had really high levels of the excitatory neurotransmitters. So now it makes sense to me why for so long now my mind, moves fast. I have to make an effort to slow down. I have to make an effort to meditate and calm my mind. And some people might think that's a good thing, but actually, it's an imbalance, and it's it's one of the reasons that I'll speak fast or I'll read fast. And to me, that's normal. But, to other people, they go, could you please slow down? And I go, okay. And I try and slow down. I'm not trying to be fast. It's just like how my body's wired. And I don't, and when I was a kid, I guess it was good because I was a good sprinter. So I was a good athlete. And I scored a lot of touchdowns when I played Pop Warner football, but that doesn't serve me now. Most people don't have that high level of excitatory neurotransmitters. They're calmer and slower. And then, if I was that way, I could connect to people better. So I'd prefer to be a little calmer. But that's why I meditate. But regardless, at nighttime, I want to take an extra step to induce sleep. So this kava calm gives you extract of the kava root and the cavalolactone. And so it's a sedative. And it's also a neuroprotective. So it's a traditional drink, of course, for islanders, Pacific Islanders. And this particular study just acknowledges that it has a protective effect. It says these findings suggest that the use of kava might also be beneficial for the treatment of degenerative diseases of the nervous system. This whole thing could be read, but that's the conclusion of their studies. So, and then the actual plant itself, and the extract, the cavalolactone, says kava is a plant root extract that is widely consumed by Pacific Islanders. Kava contains a class of lactone compounds called cavalactones. The sedative and anxiolytic effects of kava are likely attributed to the efficacies of cavalactones on the nervous system. So, and then they theorize that it's regulating the GABA receptors, so you're having higher levels of GABA and also higher levels of acetylcholine. So, of course, my program that I'm sharing with you right now is for anybody with adrenal issues, first, second, third, or fourth stage adrenal fatigue or exhaustion. If you want to rebuild it, you can. How to support it during that time of rebuilding with things like core hormone support and the pantothenic acid, and then to help yourself sleep, to lower the cortisol levels at night so that you can achieve sleep, taking cortisol stress reset an hour before you go to bed, And then at bedtime, taking some simply progesterone to bind to receptors that cause relaxation. And then bringing in the immediate and extended release melatonin that Life Extension makes. Very affordable product. And then if you have, high neurotransmitter levels, there's a test that I did through Life Extension. A colleague friend of mine, Tony, suggested I try this, and so I did. Found out that I had high excitatory neurotransmitters, and that's one of the reasons that I have to take the extra step to sedate my nervous system. And when I do all these things, I get sleep. And sometimes I get 7 hours of sleep, and it, of course, makes me feel wonderful. So if you have any questions, if you're interested in discussing your issues further in the way of adrenal fatigue, sleep issues, or questions about any one of these products, that's what I'm here for. Happy to talk to you. Give a call, and look forward to helping you feel happy and healthy. Thanks for your attention. Bye.